Good evening, I'm Patricia Vallone with the CTV News Update. Police arrest a 17-year-old for allegedly fatally stabbing a laundromat employee in Capitol Heights Thursday evening. The suspect is Mecky Loving. When officers arrived at the laundromat in the 6700 block of Walker Mill Road, they found the victim suffering from stab wounds. The victim has now been identified as 59-year-old Fushun Yan. He died at the hospital following the assault.
The suspect is 17-year-old Mecky Loving. He's currently in custody at the Department of Corrections. He's being held on a no bond status, charged with first and second degree murder, and he's also charged as an adult in this case.
Anyone with information on the case is asked to contact police. Residents who suffered through last week's torrential downpour and flooding could get some much-needed financial assistance. Cheverly, Bladensburg, Hyattsville, and other nearby areas received more than 4 inches of rainfall in 1 hour. Hyattsville was the epicenter, getting more than 6 inches. County Executive Angela Alsobrooks says systems in Prince George's were working properly, but were overwhelmed. Alsobrooks says that the county is currently assessing all infrastructure that was involved. Meantime, federal help may be on the way, but it must first go through state and county channels. Cheverly officials say assistance is desperately needed.
Most immediate, it's really reaching out based upon the family situation to Red Cross, and our Red Cross team has been incredibly responsive. And that means even after the night of the extreme storm, families should still be reaching out to us to reach out to Red Cross. And if there's a need for immediate shelter, given that the house is not inhabitable, or some other money for that. But beyond that, our community has come together for small assists. But right now, we're reaching out to the county and to the state for all the efforts to create, in other words, to declare a disaster, because that's what this is for families.
Cheverly officials say the community has been stepping up, offering help to those in need. If your property was damaged during last week's flood, you can call the town of Cheverly at 301-773-8360. The Office of Emergency Management also wants to hear from you. It now has an assessment tool available for all residents to submit damage reports. It's located on the website at the bottom of your screen. Steep cuts, including layoffs, could come to the Metro system. The Board of Directors voted today on potential cuts, schedule changes, and other cost-saving measures. The board says the cuts could take place if federal CARES Act funding lapses without new revenue. The transit agency says it's looking at $200 million in spending cuts in order to balance the budget. The Metro Board will be holding virtual public hearings at a date to be announced soon. A University of Maryland lab has stopped using the much-touted coronavirus test kits from South Korea over reliability issues. You'll recall that Governor Hogan and First Lady Yumi were on the tarmac at BWI Thurgood Marshall Airport in April to greet a Korea Air flight with 500,000 COVID-19 testing kits the Hogans secured. According to a university spokesperson, the kits from Lab Genomics have returned dozens of false positive results from nursing homes around the state. The lab is replacing the kits with one developed by the CDC and will retest clients at no cost. It's unclear what will happen to the Lab Genomics tests that have yet to be used. Students in St. Mary's County were scheduled to begin in-person classes on Monday, but that plan has been put off because of positive COVID tests. A staffer at George Washington Carver Elementary tested positive after attending a Labor Day event. Officials say contact tracing discovered that employees at other schools tested positive as well. Students will now return with virtual learning through the end of the first quarter. A state lawmaker who represents a portion of St. Mary's County accuses election officials of voter suppression. Delegate Brian Crosby says the lack of a second early voting site is aimed at making it harder for people of color to vote. Elections officials say that 60% of the county's population lives within 5 miles of the one early voting site. But Crosby says the geographic center of his district is more than 14 miles from the early voting center. He says many of those in his district, which contains 35% of the county's voters, are low income and rely on public transportation. A proposal to remove county officers from local schools has been voted down. The school board last night rejected a plan to cancel a security contract with the Prince George's Police Department. The proposal to remove officers was prompted by national social justice protests. The Maryland economy added 24,000 jobs in August, and the jobless rate fell to 6.9%. The Hogan administration is hailing the figures, as Maryland businesses can now open up under Stage 3 of the COVID recovery plan. Meantime, as the state continues to investigate fraudulent jobless claims, officials say 16,000 innocent people had their applications frozen. The unemployment fraud scheme was uncovered in July. All parents want to ensure that their child is safe sitting in the back seat, but did you know that many car seats are installed incorrectly? As National Child Passenger Safety Week approaches, AAA Mid-Atlantic wants parents to review car seat laws and make sure that their child's car or booster seat is installed properly. According to statistics, more than 3,300 children were killed in vehicle crashes from 2014 to 2018. National Child Passenger Safety Week is from September 20th until the 26th.
Urge parents who are nervous about installing a car seat or are worried about whether the car seat is properly installed in the car to go to an agency that can properly install it for you. Normally that's done at the fire department and in some cases at the police department.
An annual event aimed at getting people out of their cars is right around the corner. The annual Car Free Day, which is set for next Tuesday, got its start in D.C. more than 10 years ago. It's now gone worldwide. Organizers are encouraging residents to use alternate ways of getting around, be it public transportation, biking, or carpooling, as a way to ease congestion and help the environment. Due to the pandemic, this year will look a little different than years past, but they are still asking for residents to take the car-free pledge.
Typically in the past, it usually was bicyclists and transit users were usually the highest amount of pledges that we have. This year, that's all out the window, and it's mainly telework. Although, there are individuals who have pledged that are going to be taking transit or carpooling or, riding their bike or even walking to work. And so that's really the big change there.
To take the pledge, log on to carfreemetrodc.org. An online series for Indigenous youth brings students together with young Native activists and change makers. The series is sponsored by the National Museum of the American Indian. This month's topic was community healing and dealt with high suicide rates among Native American youth.
We really wanted to have this conversation to talk about and identify what the problems are, but to also show what youth are doing to come up with solutions in their communities. Some of the amazing youth we have are in very rural areas, some are in very urban areas. And it's really a place to show that the issues are there and they may look different depending on where they are, but the youth are coming up with solutions to help other youth heal, but also to help their community heal as well.
And the next Youth in Action event takes place on Indigenous Peoples Day, October 12th at 1 p.m. The topic will be conversations about future mascots, monuments, and memorialization. For more information, visit americanindian.si.edu. You've probably seen millions of birds migrating south over the past few weeks. If not, just take a look up at the sky during dusk. Maryland's Department of the Environment is asking residents to turn off their outdoor lights to make the birds' journey a little easier. In the highly urbanized Northeast, lights can attract birds into hazardous conditions in which they can collide with buildings and other structures. Well, can the Washington football team go 2-0 on the season? The team will answer the question Sunday afternoon as they take on the Arizona Cardinals. Defensive coordinator Jack Del Rio says they'll be challenged by the Cardinals' fast-paced offense.
Cliff with the air raid system, they want to run a lot of plays, and eventually you're either not able to keep up with them and you make mistakes, or they wear you down, and then they have guys with speed that are running all over the field. It looks like they have a joystick in a video game. That's the challenge in front of us. We've got to play good defense, and we've got to find a way to not allow them to possess the ball and not allow them to score points, and help our football team win any way we can. And the challenges of going against this type of system is they're going to want to run a lot of plays, and we're going to have to be able to match that.
The teams kick off at 4:05 p.m. on Sunday. And that wraps up our newscast. Thanks for watching. Join us again on Monday evening. Have a great night.
For the latest information on COVID-19 in Maryland, visit the State Health Department website. That's health.maryland.gov. Again, health.maryland.gov. Click the link to the COVID-19 information portal. There you'll find all the latest information about coronavirus. You'll find daily updates on cases and fatalities. Answers to questions about testing and the governor's stay-at-home order are available as well. For specific information about Prince George's, visit princegeorgescountymd.gov. That's princegeorgescountymd.gov. The site offers information about local services for residents and businesses. There's a link for COVID-19 relief donations. Also, food pantry locations are listed. And if you have any questions, call the county COVID-19 hotline at 301-883-6627. That's 301-883-6627.
I moved to Florida with literally pennies in my pocket and a prayer. I needed a new start. Dacian looks like a very typical 3-year-old until you ask him, "What's your name? How old are you?" My son has a lot of behaviors that would show as being autistic. Most kids can tolerate a variety of foods, but unfortunately for Dacian, everything has to be organic and raw. I wasn't ashamed to go to the food pantries. It's expensive to eat healthy, and nutrition is very important to Dacian's health. The healthy organic food that we receive dramatically helped his social skills. Most people would say, she really doesn't have much of a life. But to me, I have everything right there next to me and my son.
I am what child hunger looks like in America. I am a 9-year-old boy who hopes a friend invites me to a sleepover so I can have dinner. I am a 15-year-old girl who goes for walks during lunch so my friends won't know I don't have anything to eat. I am a 13-year-old boy who gets into fights at school just because I'm hungry. I was created by artificial intelligence from faces of the 1 in 7 American children who struggle with hunger. Kids you pass by every day but never knew they were hungry.
Feeding America, 200 food banks strong.
There was a time in my life where I was extremely homesick. I decided that I needed a pet. When I first saw a turtle, my heart was full. He jumped up and kissed me and jumped right into my arms. I immediately went up to the volunteers at the shelter and said, I want him. He's got to come home with me. Now I'm anything but lonely. Every day with Turtle is a perfect day and keeps me company when I'm doing schoolwork. I like it when he jumps up on the table too. He is a veggie thief. He's an incredible companion and my best friend. Can't say that I've met anybody that doesn't love him too. When I adopted Turtle, I discovered all the things that make him unique. He's a little bit of a lot of things, but mostly he's all pure love.
It's so sad. It's not.